Heal podcast brought to you by Being Nurtured, where you can make transformational change within yourself and get that change within yourself to expand in your communities and the world around you and make an impact and influence. But today we have a really good conversation topic. We are talking about people pleasing and how exhausting it gets. What are the origins behind people pleasing and how it can really affect your day-to-day life to the point where you get to burnout, you get to where you're tired and exhausted and you're having to reevaluate some of your friendships, some of your relationships and be like, this ain't it, this ain't cutting it anymore. But I'm bringing to you one of my dear friends, Ashley, and I want to let her introduce herself. I love her so much and I'm super appreciative for her being here today. So go ahead and tell us a little bit about you.
Thank you. Oh my goodness. So my name is Ashley Dolmo Millet. And what I have to say is that I'm super grateful for being here. Like, just the flourishing of our relationship to this whole podcast, this setup is so amazing. I'm so proud of you, and I appreciate you and giving me the space to share who I am, where I come from, and I guess where I plan to be.
Yes, and so what's important to know about yourself before we get into this podcast? Like, what kind of point of view are we getting from people pleasing? And Ashley, like, what are we seeing here?
Yes, so the point of view is really coming from a immigrant family, first American generation, and just the point of view of having just a bunch of women in my life to learn from. Definitely came from a single parent household, but I had the support of my grandmother, my tia, my godmother, and my cousins, who are just two, pretty much out of many guys in my family, just two females. So yes.
Awesome. And something really unique that I learned about Ashley, and I really hadn't known prior to meeting her, and then kind of the space that we met, is the Garifuna community that you come from. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. So I come from, my family is Garifuna. My family is from Honduras, the Black diaspora or African diaspora. So we're Garifuna people, which comes from a tribe in St. Vincent, and then pretty much migrated to Belize and Honduras. So a roundabout of backgrounds there. So I am Garifuna, Honduran American. My parents are from Honduras, so a lot of background here. I'm from New Orleans, Louisiana, on top of that. And I moved my way to Houston, Texas.
and now we have her here, NRC.
Right.
And she's here. Hot commodity. Not complicated, multi-layered, dynamic.
Yes.
All of it.
Multifaceted, yes.
Yes, and we do have some commonalities. So we are the youngest and the only girl in a household with boys, which you said you have 3 boy siblings,
yes,
correct?
3 older brothers.
Yeah, and I got 3 older brothers.
Oh, yes. Okay, so I didn't know that. That's new.
And maybe that's why we connect so well.
Right. Oh, my goodness. Knucklehead brothers. Yeah.
And I think that kind of leads us into some of the positions we get into, kind of being the girl and some of the responsibilities that people think that we should be taking care of those, more than nurturing, taking care of, and administrative roles. I think once you become a professional too, and they see that you can do it, you take up an admin role for the family as well.
Absolutely.
Has that been your experience?
That has been my experience. Yes. So 2 of my older brothers actually moved to Georgia very early in my life. I was born, let me put it this way. My mom had me at 40. She had my 3 older brothers long before then. So my 2 oldest brothers, they moved to Georgia. Mm-hmm. I was left with one of my brothers who were just 6 years apart. So with that dynamic, it was just us 2 and my mom.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And I understand that. My oldest sibling and I, 10 years apart, 7 years apart, and then 3 years apart. So part of it's like there's so much gap in between you and the siblings that you feel like, okay, we like really didn't grow up together. So like it's like you're having to get to learn this person that moved out of the household a long time ago. And then you kind of feel alone because everybody moved out the nest and you're the last one in the nest.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Very true. Very true. I take pride in that too.
You kind of like being the last one.
I do.
I feel like we benefit a little bit being the last ones too, because like, you know, so some of the, you know, your parents are doing better. They don't got to feed 4 mouths anymore. Now it's just them and one more.
Very true.
So things are a lot easier. But let's kind of guide into this topic of people pleasing and some of the origins and where we see that. And we're talking about Latinidad and kind of how people pleasing somehow is incorporated also into the culture in ways that we don't even recognize it. And so whenever I think about people pleasing, I think about how we're very inclined in even Southern hospitality to be the hostess with the mostest. Like, do you need water? Sit down. Like, can I get you some food? Let me go ahead and pick that up for you. Like, don't worry about that. I'll go take care of that for you. Like, we're going out of our ways in so many ways to take care of people. What do you think about that?
Honestly, you brought back some old memories of mine. You brought back some old memories of mine. So I was thinking,
Tell us, girl. Tell us.
You talked about hosting and being a hostess with the mostest. And, you know, as we talk about people pleasing, which that is our topic, I remember my mom hosting cousins who I don't even know where they come from. Cousins popping up, tios popping up, tias popping up, and just living with us for a while until they get it together, you know, being into a new country, the U.S., and then find their way. So, yeah, all of that just popped up. I totally forgot about that. So I grew up with a lot of people just coming in and out the house. But my mom was being the hostess with the mostest, just making sure that they found their way here in America. So, yeah.
And so it's interesting how we get to see those dynamics come up in our lives of like having to go out of our ways to take care of people. But that kind of grows onto us in a way where I think ultimately if you don't build boundaries, it becomes something that's very exhaustive and energy drainer. And sometimes it's like, really like, stop coming to me. I appreciate that you're coming to me, but like, I feel like overwhelmed, overload. It just becomes too much at some point.
That is true. And that's something that I can say that I didn't recognize until I got older, what boundaries were and whether or not I seen them growing up in different dynamics, relationship dynamics. But what I realized is that I'm just from my upbringing, right? We'll talk about the origin. I told you about how my mom, I was her shadow. I went wherever she went. And, you know, if she was out helping somebody, I was out helping somebody with her. And just in watching that, I can say that definitely shaped my life to the point where I grew up absolutely loving community service. So I went to Catholic school.
Yeah, we met doing community service. We met in the community advocacy world. If you didn't know.
We did.
Just how much Ashley loves the community.
That is big facts. You know, we should have started with that. How did we meet?
Real. How did we meet?
How did we meet? But yeah, it was working in the community, you know, Fifth Ward. Gotta love Fifth Ward. If y'all haven't heard about Fifth Ward Houston, learn about it.
Yeah, y'all have so many misconceived conceptions about Fifth Ward, but Fifth Ward, there's a lot of pride. There's a lot of love. There is a large sense of community and deep rooted history. And you know, it's also hard there. Like you want to help, you want to please, you want to give. But there's so much out of you that you can actually give without draining yourself.
Yes. So back to just the adversities of people pleasing and, you know, boundary setting. Just like you said, you know, going to a community, working in a community like that, just serving the people. There's so much that you want to do for others, but you have to realize you got to take care of yourself too.
Yeah.
And I guess that's what's helped me over this journey as well, is learning that I got to set some boundaries for myself.
So tell us what was happening in your life where you got to these instances where you were like, this is too much.
Yes.
What was going on? What were you experiencing? And when were you like, I need to change?
Yes. Honestly, I can say it's when I started having anxiety attacks in college. That is a serious topic that people, it's super complex. People don't understand what anxiety is, and it's starting to get, I guess, a conversation about it in a general sense is starting to get normalized, but you have to actually pay attention to where that comes from, because it can bring you into a place where you don't know yourself. You know, your body is reacting to things. Your body is telling you something. You have to listen to it. So the sense really came in when I was in undergrad and I just started just passing out in different places.
You were passing out?
I was passing out on campus.
Like walking,
Yes.
and you
Walking.
just giving out? Wow. And what was going on in your world around that time that was bringing on
Yes.
these symptoms of anxiousness?
It was, I think, it was a combination of things. It was the fact that I felt like I had something to prove.
Okay.
I felt like I had a lot to prove. So I was taking a whole bunch of classes. First of all, don't do that.
Too late.
Yeah.
Too late, girl.
Taking a bunch of classes. Let's see. What I didn't realize then is that I was putting pressure on myself.
Okay.
I heard that a bunch of times. It got to a point where the school sent me a notice, told me that they were going to send me to mandatory therapy sessions.
So they even knew, like,
Yes.
people knew you were overwhelmed.
Yes, it got to a point, you guys, it was so embarrassing. It got to a point where the ambulance came to my dorm and
Wow.
yeah, they had the therapist with them too for a sit down because I guess it's just something that wasn't talked about, going through anxiety in college. So it wasn't talked about much, but the school had a plan. So thank you.
The shout out to the school
Shout out
for
to
having
the
a plan, because I
school.
didn't have one.
Yes, the school had a plan, except for I didn't agree with the plan.
Oh,
So,
why
yes.
did you not agree with the plan?
I didn't
Tell us.
agree with the plan because growing up people pleasing, right? You don't really talk about yourself and what you're going through.
So you just were not in a place to receive some type of help back because you're used to giving all the time.
I'm used
And
to
that's the thing
being
about people
someone's
pleasing.
backbone.
It's giving. You're giving.
You're giving. I'm used
And
to
you don't
being someone's
take.
back. Yes, exactly. So the school had a plan and I was like, no.
not having it.
The therapist came into my dorm and my best friend, who was my roommate at the time, she didn't know what was going on with me herself. And I knew her since 4th grade.
Oh.
She didn't know what was going on with me. And so we were in a dorm where, 2 people in this room and then there's a shared bathroom and then another 2 people, right?
Mm-hmm.
So 4 people, 1 bathroom. And so they have a private door and we have a private door. The therapist comes in, the paramedics come in, and I'm like,
you know they were coming?
no,
Okay.
I didn't know. They knocked on the door. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. And then they escorted my roommate out, my best friend out. And so when they came in, I was super uncomfortable. Yeah. So I told them that I had to use the bathroom and then snuck out.
So you ran away.
I ran away. I left. I absolutely left. It was fight or flight. And for me, I'm like, these people, I don't know y'all.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on with myself right now. Like, I'm just like super overwhelmed. I'm away from home, which is something that I thought I desperately needed, to be away from home at the time. And so I took flight.
That's so overwhelming too, because like, I don't know you. We have not built a rapport. You're coming at me sideways, thinking you're gonna save me, and you flee, but you flee from a response of like, I don't know the situation. I'm gonna go protect myself.
Yes, to protect myself. And it was such a traumatic event, honestly. I forgot about that too. So
Girl, we bringing up wounds today.
We are, but I could laugh about it now.
Okay,
I really can, which is a great thing because I've been through something.
We're growing. We're healing.
It's over here. But I'll heal. There we go.
Heal.
So anyways, I took flight and then my roommate, she doesn't know what's going on.
Okay.
She calls her mom, who then gets in contact with my mom. And while I'm gone.
So she snitched on you? She
did.
your mama?
Oh, she did. She did. And I love you so much.
Appreciate you, girl.
I love you so much. But she did. And so while I'm fleeing, I'm getting phone calls from my entire family. My mom, my tia, my madrina, which is godmother for those who don't know, but that's what I call her, my madrina. So I'm getting calls from them.
Right.
And they're blowing up my phone. So I finally called my mom back.
Wow.
And at this point, I'm panicking. She never suspected any of this from me. So that was my breakthrough.
Okay.
Yeah, that's when I figured out, okay, I have a lot going on and a lot to figure out.
Yeah, and I can only imagine the things you were experiencing, seeing, encountering, and finding out like, I am overwhelmed. This is become too much for me. And I feel like college is pressuring in itself. Like I remember being an undergrad, even going into some of the places where people eat and they're on their laptop working. I'm like, should I be working too? Like, should I be doing this too? And even hosting people back at my apartment and being like, let me cook for you. Let me do this for you. And I felt like I entertained doing more hosting than I did entertaining my education sometimes.
It happens.
And it happens. But so tell us a little bit about like what that burnout was for you in people pleasing, and what were some of the boundaries you had to set?
Yes. So, some of the boundaries I had to set was with myself.
Okay.
I had to set my own limitations. I had to come up with a plan that would basically, I wouldn't say, I would say shield myself. Shield myself. It was really me versus me, but I had no idea. I eventually did go back to the therapist. We talked about it, and we came up with a plan for myself. And
I'm proud of you though. Like
Thank
that is
you.
some major accountability, because a lot of the times when you're not ready to face what you're experiencing, you will tend to blame everybody else for what's happening to you. But you have allowed that into your life. You have allowed yourself to people please. You have allowed yourself to like take some of the BS from people. Like you have allowed these things to infiltrate your space, where sometimes you blame them versus saying like, well, who let them in? I was the gatekeeper. That was me. I was a doorman.
I was the doorman. I literally just let the door open.
Come right in. Come in here.
Come right in. But this is the thing. I was letting people in, not to be into my life or know anything much about me, but for me to be available to them. You know.
So would you cancel your plans, shift stuff to make things work for other people?
I would, but let me okay, so you talked about how people were in the lunchroom or the dining room with their computers, right?
Right.
I was at football games with my computer.
Girl, you weren't even watching the game.
I was not, but I had on the gear though. I had on the gear.
That's all that matters.
And I had my friends right there, you know. Woo. So yeah, that was me. I tried to.
But what out of those situations were you like, instead of prioritizing you still went out and did this for somebody else?
Yes, I think it was more so like, I don't want to let anyone down.
Okay.
And I don't want to let myself down either. But, you know, in reality, I'm still letting myself down, right?
Do you have FOMO?
FOMO.
What is that? Fear of missing out?
Right, fear of missing out. Fear of missing out.
Somebody told me I had FOMO the other day. I'm like, you know, you might be right.
You might be. I do have FOMO. I do. Okay. I'm not going to lie about it. But I tend to make my own opportunities too. Like if I can't make something, that's perfectly fine. I mean, it sucks, but let's do something else when I can, type of thing. But when there's a football game, I can't reschedule the game myself, right? So that's just what I went through in undergrad, and I figured it out. It took a while. It was a journey. You know, undergrad is typically 4 years, right? It was a journey.
Typically.
Right.
Typically,
you know, it was a journey. It was a long 4 years, but I was able to figure it out.
Okay, that's good. That's good.
Not by myself though.
No,
I sought help.
You saw help. And when you saw help, was that like your own counselor? Or
yes.
Friends, or what was it for you?
It was friends. It was me taking care of my health. So if I felt overwhelmed, I would definitely talk to someone who I felt like I could talk to. Okay. Not someone, and that's where I went wrong though. We're talking about boundary setting, right?
Right.
For me, I'm like, well, then I was like, right, we're growing here. We're healing. We're healing. But then it was more so like, I'm not going to burden my friends who are coming to me because they have things going on with what I have going on. Now we have just this gumbo of crap going on, right?
And you were conscious to not dump on your friends. Yes. Low key, like that is something we got to recognize in our friendships, that somebody might not be prepared to hear the things that you are experiencing and you are going through. And you kind of have to ask, like, hey, I let you know what's been going on with me? Are you in a place to receive? Because they might be overwhelmed too and not be in a place to receive. And then you might get mad that they don't respond the way that you want them to respond. But also, nobody's responsible for your feelings and emotions.
Right. Exactly. There's so many complexities with that.
I know. I'm like, all of it is something.
You have to be able to understand it though, and be thoughtful and be conscious. And that was my bone that I was picking with myself. Back to me saying I was really hard on myself, and it was really me versus me. I'm sure if I would have opened up to my friends and told them what I had going on, maybe they would have been able to help me in some type of way. But I didn't even try to burden them. I thought about it, like, let me, to the point where you ever went to text someone and you're typing this much and you're like, you know what? No. And then you backspace and you exit out and then you just sit there or something, find something else to do.
Yeah.
That was me a lot of the time. So what I did was go to someone that's getting paid for me to burden them.
I'm like, this is your job. To hear
this is your job.
To trauma dump on you.
Your job. So that's what I did. Okay. And it took a while, and it's still a journey, you know. I have a therapist, a great one right now, by the way.
Love you, girl.
Yes.
Boy, whoever you are.
Woman. I love her so much because the fourth time is a charm. Okay. Fourth or fifth.
And it's a dating journey going and seeking counseling. And there was actually a study that said that how many people after their first session, they don't come back for a second session. And it's because they either get discouraged or it's not the right fit. And so they don't come back. But just like dating, it's the same thing in counseling. You have to find the right fit counselor for you because not every counselor is going to be meant for you. So you have to go search and look for the right one that is going to be for you. And you were kind of reminding me earlier, some of the boundaries that I had to set within people pleasing within my own family. And so I feel that, within our parents, they're like, yo hago todo para ustedes y ustedes no hacen nada para mí. Like, I do everything for y'all. Y'all don't do nothing for me. Whenever y'all need me, I'm here. And, some of that guilt trip that comes with, like,
infamous
Latino households. And so knowing that I'm a very scheduled person, like, I don't know how many times I've sent my friends Calendly links to schedule meetings with me. But I am very scheduled out because I want to make sure that I make adequate amount of time for the activities that I'm doing because I do get overwhelmed. I'll say yes to every single person, but realistically, I can't say yes to 10 people on one day. So I have to schedule myself out. So that's one of my tips and tricks is I use Google Calendar. I schedule everything like, okay, Monday nights, yeah, I know I'm available. Like, we can go to Postino's 6 to 8 p.m., girl. get our charcuterie board and our wine. But I had to do this with my mom, too. So what I started, because my mom's like, oh, we got to pay the taxes. We got to do this. We got to do that. I'm like, yeah, that's cool. I have availability Thursday, 9 a.m. Does that work for you? And so at first, I'm not going to say that I didn't get pushback. I absolutely got pushback because it was something that they're not used to. Like, they ask you for something, they want to hear it and they want it now. And so over time, they finally got used to being like, okay, like, you have time on Thursday. Like, yeah, I got time on Thursday. And I'll schedule it. They know to expect it too. And then we're all in a better space to, like, really do the activity that we're going to set out to do versus, like, feeling forced to do it here and now because you're, like, demanding it of me. Yes. But really, it's just respecting each other's time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I'm wondering, did you get any backlash? Like, I know you said it was something that they had to, adjust to.
Right.
Because that's a big change, not having your kids available every time you need them to, especially when going into adulthood, right?
Oh, my God.
So I'm wondering, what type of backlash did you have to go through to get where you are now, where they're more understanding?
I think I still had to hear the same things of, like, para mí no tienes tiempo. Like, for me, you don't have time. Like, so I had to hear it for a while until, like, you actually were committed to the plans that you say you're going to do. Like, hey, Mom, don't worry about it. We're going to take care of it. I have more time to dedicate to it on Thursday, 9 to this or whatever. And so I think once they started seeing the execution and then they started seeing me being more prosperous in other aspects of my life, they were able to really understand like why it was that I needed to be scheduled about these activities and why it was important to do that. So that while it does hurt that like you're getting pushback for setting boundaries, because to be honest, I feel like people get adjusted. You people please so much. People get adjusted that you're always going to be available, that you're always going to do whatever they want you to do, that like Denise is going to always take care of it.
Mm-hmm.
But the reality is like people get tired. I get tired of giving of myself.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
I get that. I also feel like it's something our families aren't accustomed to, is having boundaries of their own.
They're not used to it.
Not at all. Absolutely not.
What are boundaries?
What are those, right? What are those?
We'll throw them out the window.
No, but that's true. I really respect that, because I'm going through the same thing too. Well, it seems like things have gotten better for you,
yeah.
but I'm definitely, I would say, I'm in the thick of it. Like,
Okay.
I started setting boundaries with my mom last year.
And this is wild because you'd be like, I'm married. I'm out the house.
You
and you
know?
still treating me this way. What is going
being
on?
married, Jesus. She'll tell me something like, I don't want to bother you if you're with your husband. I'm like, woman. Like,
I'm absolutely with my husband.
You're right.
but you can still call me.
yeah, but it's okay. It's okay. Mind you, I think that's just her being nice.
Okay.
She's going to get to what she needs regardless, right? But no, I started setting those boundaries and they're getting better, but I'm definitely in the thick of it. But you brought up a great point when you said your mom just calling about, we got to get the taxes done, do the taxes, and scheduling time for that, right? That's another thing of people pleasing, especially in Latino community or just, families, immigrant families. We do have to take on a major responsibility in a household. Like,
Wow.
I have similar conversations, and it got to a point where I used to tell my friends, like, yeah, me and my mom, we have more of a business relationship,
That's so weird that we're more transactional than we
More
are
transactional.
emotional. Because I don't feel like I am emotional, at least with my mother.
Right.
I feel like it's very transactional.
Yeah, I can relate to that. For me, I attempt to get that nurturing side out of my mom, but we go through a lot to get there.
It was
like,
rough. It was rough.
We go through the phase where, are you saying I'm not a good mom with todo que yo hace and da, 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 da. Okay, ma'am, no one ever said that.
And I think it's just also understanding mental health differently for different generations. Like, we're in this generation where we're acknowledging the feelings, the emotions that we are going through some shit.
Yes. And I know that you're going through some shit too.
For reals.
Like,
Like, Mom, stop running. Stop running. I know you mad. I know you sad. Don't play.
I was like, I acknowledge you.
Yeah.
But we have to have patience.
Yes. And I think for our immigrant parents, your priority was survivorship.
Yes.
So, like, for you, you're not thinking about, I'm sad. You're thinking about, like, I need to go work. I need to go get this bag. Like, how am I going to eat? So it's a survivorship mindset that they have versus us where, yes, we're surviving and yes, we're working, but things are a little bit more settled for us. We're also incorporating thinking, emotions, and empathy, and how am I affecting other people? And that's also exhausting too. There is such thing as a mental exhaustion.
Yes, absolutely. Like, burnout is all over. Burnout isn't just in your job. There's this new thing called quiet quitting.
Oh, not the quiet quitting.
Burnout isn't just your job. Burnout is, in your relationships with your family, with your friends, even your coworkers who became friends. Like, it's just that type of thing. And it is something that's very difficult to express to your family, and not even just immigrant families, like, any type of family, to where your parents are a little bit reliant on you, rightfully so.
Expectations of what they want out of you.
Those expectations are so high. And you also may have expectations for yourself as well, but you have to navigate those. And at that point, I'm going to be honest with you, sometimes it leads to you living a whole double life, not a
Girl, you living a low life? I'm like, what kind of life you living, girl?
It can definitely result to that. Like, my life shifts when I'm around my mom, and
It's just a different thing. And I was previously in a relationship where my partner did not understand my family dynamic. And my mom needed me to go with her to a doctor appointment. And I was like, I'm sorry, I know we had something scheduled, but my mom really needs me right now. And he didn't understand why I was canceling on him to go with my mom. And it just created a lot of issues. But it's hard to understand those Latino dynamics of like, well, I have a doctor's appointment. You got to come with me.
Yes.
And being like, I'm sorry, I know we had plans. And you're in this in between of like picking and choosing and feeling bad because you want to keep your word with this person, but you also know that your mother needs you. Like, what do you do? Like, I don't even remember what I ended up doing. But I still feel like I disappointed someone. And I think that's the thing. You want to please both parties, but you can't please everyone. And that's the reality. You can't make everyone happy.
That is a major reality. And you asked me earlier, when did I come to this realization about the effects and complexities of people pleasing?
Right.
That's another thing that I learned along this journey is that you cannot please everyone. And that's another thing that you hear often, but you don't actually understand what it means until you have to apply it to your own life.
Mm-hmm.
So that brought me to choosing myself and choosing myself and choosing myself. And it's like a lesson that you keep on learning, or at least that I keep on learning. Just like when you read the Bible and there's a whole bunch of stories. And it's the same stories, really. You know, same endings. But it's for you to remember that, these little tools is something that you have to apply in every area of your life. And just last year, my mom, this is 2023. Sorry, guys.
Let me check my calendar. I think we in 2023. I'm not sure. We might be,
right? A couple more weeks.
Yeah, that's wild. We're like 2 weeks away from 2024, y'all.
2 whole weeks. So literally 2 whole weeks. Yep, the first is on Monday.
This is airing literally 5 days into the new year. Hello.
But yes, in 2022, I got married, and in 2022, thank you, my mom was diagnosed with a very, very serious illness.
I'm sorry, my friend.
And my whole life shifted. Of course, hers did too, because unfortunately, she was the one who was actually ill. But I had to pretty much move from Houston back to Louisiana while married, and my husband was here in Houston to be there for my mom.
That's rough.
Yeah, and it first started off with me going back and forth, and that was hard on me because I couldn't help but think, like, of course it's happening right now, and I felt guilty for thinking that.
Like in the midst of like I'm supposed to be enjoying my marriage?
Yes.
Okay.
So one of the advice repetitive advice that I've gotten going into my marriage was that the first year is the hardest. The first year is the hardest because things happen. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I was like, man, did these people try to jinx me? But no.
They did this on purpose.
No, it was real. I mean, for me at least, my mom being in Louisiana was going through, the unimaginable. And she had just lost her best friend months prior to that, which was my grandmother. So much was going on with my mom. I felt she ended up getting cancer. I felt the lump weeks before my wedding. And then after the wedding is when she got the actual diagnosis, right? Wow. So it's a lot going on, like
the timing.
Everything. Again, my grandmother had just passed. That was her best friend. So just, oh my goodness, feeling so sorrowful for my mom. Feeling so much sadness, sadness for her. And, I'm a very empathetic person, so I feel, right? For other people, if you fall right now, I'm going to feel it in my bones.
I felt yesterday.
I know.
You must have felt that.
I know. When I seen your leg, I was like, oh.
Don't look at my leg there.
I was like, oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
But yes. My life shifted. And again, I have 3 older brothers, right? And we talk about the responsibility on the girl.
So did you feel like they didn't step up?
Absolutely. I love y'all. Absolutely.
And I can sympathize with that feeling.
Yeah. It's a painful one.
Yeah.
It's a painful one.
But I feel like there's also this expectation that because the girl is the one that nurtures, we're the ones that are expected to do the caregiving anyways. And so like my dad was in a really bad car accident some time ago, and while my brothers were supportive as much as they could be, I was the one that was really attentive and really was like trying to figure out medications, trying to figure out food, making sure like, can y'all come and take dad a bath, like to help me do something. But it gets very overwhelming. And I think that's also very scary because our parents are getting older.
Yes.
And let me not cry. Like they're
Yes,
getting
please don't, 'cause
older.
then I'm gonna cry.
Oh my God, don't
We're
start,
gonna
girls.
be in here crying.
I'm gonna cry. But like they're getting older, and so it's weird for me to not even think about my future plans for marriage and housing and not even think about my parents. Like when people tell me what's my dream home, I'm literally saying I want an hacienda. So like the corner of the house is like my parents' own living space where they have their own rooms, their own kitchens, and like y'all can hit me up, but I'm on the other corner. But I can take care of you and keep tabs on you, but you're here. Like, and I'm also thinking about my suegros that I don't even got. And I'm like, they can live in the other corner.
Oh, wing here, wing there.
Like, look, I'm over here, you're over there, and my parents are over there. Like, it's just a whole family affair. But
it's a beautiful thought. That's a beautiful dream.
A beautiful dream
so
with that,
beautiful.
but
So beautiful.
I'm the one that's thinking about this. I don't know that my siblings are thinking about this.
Yeah, I do get that. I felt the same way, right? Except mine's kind of have a sad story. Yeah, but I felt the same way. Like, my mom is, how old am I? My mom is 67. Yeah, and then my grandmother, when she was living, I just knew that one day I'll be able to have, them all together again. Not in the same house. Very similar to what you said. Not in the same house exactly. But, right wing, left wing. I'll have them here together or build this beautiful house in Honduras or something like that. And I didn't get that chance. Or I just knew that my grandmother, although I was not rushing to have kids, I don't have any yet, but they're waiting on me. But I just knew that I would get a chance for my grandmother to hold my kid at least, and then I would get that picture that I could frame, and then after that, I'll let her do whatever she want. Not that it was up to me,
Right?
But I didn't get that, and that's okay. That's okay. But the thought is something that I hold on to because it gives me comfort.
Right. Like, what are our key takeaways of today, people pleasing, some of the encounters that we have gone through, and just the way that they affected us? And so I guess for me, it's really been that acknowledging where people pleasing started.
Yes.
And so for me, it started in my family unit, and it's just grown and evolved in other ways within my friendships, within me, like at the church. And to be honest, like I had to step away from church as well because I felt like I was giving of myself all the time versus like a receiving. And so it just got to a point where like, this is too overwhelming. Like I can't participate in this anymore. Like I feel drained. And then setting boundaries with family, friends, and yourself, because you said this is very much myself. What about you?
Yeah, definitely. For me, so similar. Upbringing, my family. I was raised by a bunch of women. They all had their own expectations. So I had to make sure, in my mind at least, and what I've seen growing up, I had to make sure that they were happy or pleased or whatever it is that I do or how I respond, how quickly I'm there for them. I grew up with my grandmother's house. So she used to spend 3 months here in the States, 3 months in Honduras, back and forth. And one thing about my grandmother, she never drove a day in her life.
She was passenger princess for life.
For life. She rode in the backseat princess for sure.
Backseat princess.
She never had to work a day in her life.
Love that queen.
Right. But that woman was nothing nice. She was nothing nice. That was my girl though. Love her so much. She was just this feisty lady.
Feisty. Was she short?
And she was.
Short and feisty. Hello.
She was definitely short and feisty. She was a disciplinarian in her entire family. And every time she got upset with us, she would tell us a story about she lost her grandmother at 12, so nobody could talk to her any type of way, don't back talk her type of thing. Because she lost her grandmother. I'm sorry, she lost her mother when she was 12. And so she really felt like, you know, she would say, my dad is gone. Of course, all of this in Spanish. My dad is gone. I lost my mom when I was 12, so y'all can't tell me nothing. And she meant that.
Right.
She really meant that. She was not playing. So her being a disciplinarian, those times that she spent here with us, or those months that she spent here with us, I had to do whatever I could to make sure she was happy. She didn't know, for example, if she didn't know how to turn on the washing machine and she yelled for you, you better be there.
You better run.
You better run. You know, if she needed you to fix the TV or do something with the TV, you better run and do it.
You better run.
Yes. So anyways, all that to say, love her, miss her, but there's a lot of women in my life that I felt like I had to please. And I had to move similar to, because I adore these women.
Yeah.
I adore them.
So some of that people pleasing is pleasing other people or meeting their expectations and what they want for you. And I kind of feel that same too. Like, I don't want to disappoint.
Yes.
I don't want to disappoint. So I'm going to do whatever it takes to please you, please the things that you're wanting from me. But you're not even knowing that that's affecting me in a way where I'm feeling overwhelmed. I'm feeling emotional. I'm feeling unsupported, because while you're expecting of this, I'm busting my butt and I'm trying to figure out how I can make it happen.
Absolutely.
But I am tired and exhausted.
Absolutely. To the point where, you know, I had to realize, and in my adulthood or whatever you may think, going to college, I had to realize that I'm human.
I'm human.
I am human.
Let me remind myself, I am human.
I am human. You know,
you are human.
You are human. You deserve grace. You deserve to give yourself grace. You deserve to give others grace, because with those expectations, now you may put expectations upon other people, and when they don't meet those expectations, you're left hurt. And that pain is really you versus you, because at the end of the day, not saying don't have expectations for people, and this is me to me, right?
Right.
Don't have not saying don't have expectations for people, but be realistic. You know, you are human and you are an individual. Although I may act as superwoman all the time and be that strong person, mind you, in this journey, I learned that I don't want to be the strong person.
I'm tired.
Don't look at me like I'm strong. I'm human. I am human. Yes, I can handle things, but I can't handle everything.
Yes. And I think this is why I'm also wanting to take not the backseat in a relationship, but I lead enough. I lead in my workplace. I lead in my friendships. I had one of my group of friends be like, Denise, we invited you on a trip because you had a plan. And I love y'all. I love the trip. And I did not end up planning, which I appreciate y'all taking up the task in the role, but people know that I do and they expect. And so when I think about me being in a relationship, I want to be a passenger princess. Yes. I want to be able to shut off my brain and be like, you made the reservation, honey, I'm going. Like you taking the lead, because I am tired of taking the lead in every other aspect of my life.
That part. And you should be allowed to feel that way.
I don't want to people please in a relationship. Like, I just want to be myself. I want to shut down. I want to cry. If I want to cry.
If you want to cry, go cry.
I want to look ugly, cry.
But it happens, right? It's natural.
It's natural.
You know, something that's going to happen in life where we got an ugly cry. So, you know. But yeah, no, those are things that I tell myself and things that I want for myself. And I have to put in the work to actually have for myself.
Right.
I do. And, I definitely could relate to being put into something because, you know, you're that leader, you're that person. My cousins and I joke about how indecisive one of us can be. So I'll sit back and I'll be like, you know, you make a decision. I'm not trying to make no decisions.
Stay quiet.
You know, you got to stay quiet and be able to find comfort in that quietness.
Oh my.
Don't feel forced to say something. And just like I told you, you know, at the end of the day, we're human. It's natural. Things are natural. One natural instinct of mine is to lead. If, you know, things get a little bit awkward, look, let's fix it. Let's get over that hump.
And that's such a serious conversation, is when you're a person that people pleases, you tend to always be the first one to volunteer sign up. You'll be like, okay, fine, nobody wants to do it. Let me do it.
Let's move on.
Yeah, let's move on. Let me do it. But you have to become comfortable with that silence and let other people to fill the void, because your natural instinct is to fill the void by leading. And so you just have to kind of take a step back and sit in the background, let it be awkward, and be like, y'all figure it out, because I ain't gonna do it today.
And that's true. That's something, honestly, I've learned through my husband, because that's how he works.
He big chillin'.
What? Man, big chillin'. Mind you, an amazing leader, an amazing man. Absolutely. He's been supportive. Shout out to him. He's been supportive throughout this entire journey. He also did not realize my family dynamic. Wow. Just like you mentioned earlier. He didn't realize my family dynamic until recently, after we got married.
Gonna find out.
But he's still here, you know?
He's through better, through worse. Here we are, boo. And I think that's the thing about anything mental health related. It's not just this cut and dry. Like,
it's not linear, black and white.
It's not black and white. Like, there's so much in between. So within talking about people pleasing, we're thinking about our family history. We're thinking about where we are today, like where it has presented ourselves, where it took us in feeling severe mental health symptoms, because we're people pleasing now. We feel overwhelmed and anxious and like just burnout, everything.
Uncomfortable. Sometimes it could get into that gut feeling.
Yeah.
And it's something that, honestly, if you've experienced that gut feeling before, I'm sure you don't want to experience it again. And if it happens again, you probably panic just a little bit, because you're familiar with that feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's something that's just, you got to figure it out, shake it off.
Shake it off.
Deal with it. Go head first. It depends on what you have going on. I would say for myself that day, like, it depends on the day. If I have time to acknowledge my feeling, I'm gonna have to sit with it so I can get through it. If I don't have time, I have to write it down, because at the end of the day, I don't want it to creep up on me at the wrong time. Again, we're human,
And acknowledging the way you're feeling, so then you're able to make a informed decision.
Yes, conscious.
You have to make an informed decision. Because I'm feeling overwhelmed, I know that I'm not able to serve you the way that I can. And being able to vocalize is the most powerful thing you can do. And I think it's hard because I hate being confrontational.
Oh my God.
I don't like telling people, like, I'm not okay doing that. But there's other people that are like, nah, I'm not doing that. And I'm like, you bold as hell.
I love it.
you real bold. I don't know that I could have done that. It just... And it is a little confrontational, but because we're so used to always taking it.
Yes.
Within people pleasing, you're used to always saying yes. So for you to say no, it's going to feel very unnatural.
You know what? That is it. Oh, I'm going to have to go back and write that down.
Write it down, girl.
Yeah, because that is true for me. I've taught myself that it's a lot of working on yourself, by the way. I've been working, and I know it's a forever thing, because I am who I am.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that. I'm perfectly okay with that. But not being too hard on myself also, right? But I've learned that I have to tell myself that just because you tell somebody you're not comfortable, or just because you tell somebody no, that doesn't mean it's the end of the world.
It's not.
It doesn't have to be confrontational. You just say what you say, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And if they take it another way, that's not on you.
And that goes back to where there's a will, there's a way. So if it's not going to happen this way, they got to figure out how to make it happen a different way.
Yes, because it's not just you.
It's not just you.
It's not just you. Yep.
Oh, girl. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I appreciate you for having this conversation. It's not easy. It's a everyday journey. And I know I be in my feels about this. I be in my feels about people pleasing. But you know what? But I'll heal.
I'll heal.
Thank you so much, Ashley. Is there anything else you want to leave us with?
Anything else? What I can say is that people pleasing has taught me I have to fend for myself in every direction. So with that being said, that happens in careers too. So I decided to, along with my other skills, become an entrepreneur for myself.
Hello, girl.
For me. Hello. So yeah, that's about it. That's all I have to say. And also, thank you though. Thank you for this space. Thank you for being more than someone who I worked with in the community or who I just did some volunteering with, but a freaking friend.
Oh,
you know?
I'm gonna cry.
Yeah, don't do
Don't do it.
But no, I appreciate it. I appreciate it for giving people like myself a space to have these conversations, because oftentimes, again, I came from a place where I didn't wear my heart on my sleeve. Like,
Right.
my best friend didn't know how bad or how severe my anxiety was until things hit the fan.
Right.
She had no idea. So I'm not the type of person who openly talks about myself, but I'm not going to say that if you don't conversate with me, I don't share.
Right.
But I have to be comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to feel like someone cares about me enough for this conversation to be relevant and nothing more, right?
Right.
So thank you for opening that conversation and just giving me that space.
Well, thank you just for being open. It's hard. It's not easy. And I think as myself going into this mental health world, it's getting to learn, like, what do you say? And also remembering that, like, your friends are not mental health professionals either. They will not know what to say, and you can't expect them to know what to say either. But I'm just more conscious about the way I function and roll in this world. But appreciate you. I love you.
I love you.
And this is the first episode that's airing for In My Feels But Out Here podcast. And I'm so excited that you were able to open us up. And it's going to be an amazing year for us as entrepreneurs. We're going to get it, girl. We're going to get it.
We're going to get it, you know? Also, happy 2024.
Happy 2024, y'all.
Yes.
Feliz Nuevo Año.
Feliz Año Nuevo. Feliz Nuevo Año.
I was going to say Feliz Navidad, but...
Feliz Navidad también.